What's like the minimum, and the minimum is probably your own family, right?
Right.
And then the maximum is what? What do you think?
Probably 15 max.
Well, if you include Kara and Matt, Mom and Dad.
It gets up to 18.
It goes quick, you know.
Yeah.
Let's say we're talking in the 20 range, right?
Yeah.
So somewhere in there. So the 4 of you to 20, right?
Yep.
And are you guys like avid swimmers? What's your? I mean, if you had your choice, would you swim every day? Is this something you're doing for exercise? Is this
I probably would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe not every single day, but a lot of days. Weekends for casual hanging out and
Floating, that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right? Yeah, just floating and relaxing, nothing else, yeah.
Yeah, and then weekends for, or weekdays for actually swimming, exercise.
Exercising stuff. So you're looking for something you can do laps in?
Yeah, we
Okay.
definitely need a section of the pool for
Okay.
laps.
Okay. And are we staying with the rectangle type of pool? Is that what we're looking for?
For right now, I think that's our base.
The hard top cover is a must-have
Okay.
for us.
Okay.
Both because our yard just gets an incredible amount of tree stuff,
Yep, debris.
and for safety reasons. The
Yep.
kids, I'm hoping this summer will be the summer that they can officially learn to swim, but it's still. And then my sister has now a 1-year-old.
And when you're talking about laps, is there like a minimum length that you want to swim then?
No, I'm not a serious, I'm not doing it for time or anything.
Okay.
So, no.
Okay, so we're not trying to produce a 25-meter
No.
pool or something like that, 75 feet long, something like that, right?
No.
Okay.
I think last time we were talking like 40 by 18 feet.
Yeah, yep, I think that was kind of what our
Measurements were.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is fine.
Okay.
And it only needs to be one lane. No one else
Nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
wants to do it
And
with
and
me.
are we doing a spa with this?
No, because we'll have to.
That's right. Okay. So so it's just a strictly pool,
Just a pool.
swim, all that. What about depth? Are we looking for? Are we making this more of a play pool, a sport pool, something that's no deeper than 5 feet?
I think 6 feet would be good.
Yeah, I think we were going to do like 6 feet on one end, and then the other end we were going to have the Baja
A
shelf.
Baja shelf, 3.5 foot shallow end to 6.
Right.
Okay. So let me give you my 2 cents with this, because I'm it's fine. We can make it
Yeah.
10 feet. All that's no big deal. But a 6 foot pool, typically, even though you're pretty tall. How tall are you?
6.
6. So you couldn't use a 6 foot pool, right? In other words,
Not standing.
Not standing up, right? So what I used to have a 6 foot deep pool, and I know this from just experience.
Yeah.
That whole area was a dead area because you could jump into it, but you could jump into a 5 foot deep pool.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay.
So it becomes a usable space. So the next
Yeah.
pool I built, the deepest part was 5 feet, and I was in a smaller area, but my pool became bigger because I had a big Baja shelf like we're talking about, which we love and we use all the time. But when people get into my pool, it's 100% usable, that's why they call it more of a sport pool, play pool, splash pool, something like that. So we can do 6 feet.
Is it still okay for, I'm imagining the kids as teenagers, playing games and diving and jumping?
So no diving, and 6 foot's no diving.
Okay.
So if you want something you can dive into, you're going to be pretty much at a minimum of 8 foot. And so I have a 5 foot deep pool. I have a 6 foot tall grotto waterfall, and we have rope swings that they swing off this 6 foot tall waterfall into the 5 foot pool. No problem. They jump off the 6 foot tall waterfall into it, but there's no diving ever. Nobody's allowed to dive head first, and if they do, it's big, you're in trouble. And that kind of stuff. But it's jumping in, and you can jump in. There's no issue with that part of it. But you definitely want to tell people there's no diving. But I would never recommend diving in a 6 foot pool. So that's where I know it's only 1 foot.
But that makes sense.
It makes it more usable space. It doesn't really affect anything when you're swimming your laps, but it does allow for more people. What you will find in a 6 foot or deeper pool is everybody's hanging out in the shallow end. You might have some people swim across the deep end, but not for very long. They come right back to the shallow.
Yeah.
So that's my 2 cents, and we can do it however you want to do it.
That's helpful.
It does give you a little bit of that extra foot, and you're not putting as much water in the pool, less chemicals, easier to heat. So there are some advantages as well to that part. And I know that we talked about from up here, we wanted to kind of have a staircase coming down to the area that's over there, right?
Yeah.
And you were talking originally about doing a cabana? Are we still doing that, or what's the issue with that right of way that we're...
Yeah, so the right of way that basically is where the shed is right now,
Mm-hmm.
East Bay Mod won't let us do anything.
Oh,
they
it's
won't
East Bay
remove
Mod,
it.
that's right.
And so I think our plan is we're gonna have decking downstairs and decks on the side. Decking on this side when you come into it like a dock, because we want sort of a dock experience.
Okay.
And then where the shed is, have some sort of hardscape, and then we're evaluating, like, do we do like a
Temporary, so like the big slabs of
Pavers?
yeah,
okay.
but with rock in between, so that if they did need to come and dig there, we could move it without destroying.
We were thinking, so if the pool is there on that rectangle, on the back side, we consider that to be the back side. Having, whatever space we're gonna have by the pool, and then have sort of a privacy wall. In my head, it's the slats that go sideways,
Okay.
and then we can, that becomes a spot where we can put a TV on if we want to, or we can just have it. It also provides some privacy from them.
So something on the back side of the pool, you still want to have a walkway that
right, or
goes
maybe
through
other space, but but something sort of on that back side.
Okay. So a fence, basically. You just want to build
Basically.
kind of maybe a tall fence. But,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if there's functionality in there that we could build in. That back corner, I don't know. We really don't know what to do with that yet.
Yeah.
So depending on what we do with the dirt, maybe we can flatten some of that out, basically get more usable space. But something to think about.
Okay. And you have that walkway going down,
Yeah.
right? That's kind of a sloping walkway there. You want to keep that still?
If we can, but it's not the end of the world.
Okay. You're okay with it being steps going down to here, and that's your main entrance room.
Right. If we have to get rid of that, we have to get rid of that.
I'm sure it's going to get kind of destroyed. I mean, a lot of stuff coming through here as we work, it's going to get destroyed.
Right.
It's kind of like the ugly before the pretty, right?
Yeah.
But we can always put it back if we need to, right? So if you did want to have, let's say, wheelchair access down there, you could.
Right.
We don't know how functional that would be. But
Right. I mean, it'd be nice to have two paths, but it's not.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah, and we can look at that, and we can talk about that in there. It's in the survey. The nice thing is you guys have that survey done, right? So we know all of our topo. We know everything we need to know about where we're going to be cutting and filling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
From what I saw in the soils report, good job, and a really good soils report. But it looks like everything's going to have to be put on piers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep. So pools on piers. Any of the walkway going down, all on piers as well.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
he wants.
I thought it said the pool could be built directly into it.
Not
Pool itself.
they want you to excavate down to native soil, but we don't hit native soil for very deep. Yeah. So we're going to have some piers throughout all of it, and
Okay.
it would be beneficial to. And this is all going to go to engineering. So the soils is going to then go to engineering. Engineering is going to tell us exactly what they want. But my interpretation of the soils report was that it is going to be sitting on piers and possible grade beams. We're kind of getting away from grade beams, but piers throughout the pool. And the engineering will tell us how many piers, how deep, how big, how much steel. It'll tell us everything about what needs to be done.
Right.
And then there will be a time in which the soils engineer may want to come out and evaluate. It might be during the excavation of the piers. He wants to make sure we're hitting bedrock wherever we are, and then also we will have to get a report from a concrete engineer that will just a different engineer that is taking a sample of the concrete to report in the footings, takes it back to his lab, and he does impact testing, compression testing on the samples, and he does it over the course of many weeks, and then we have a report that we give to the city that suffices what they need from us. So there will be that involved as well. So all these things, once we put them in, we've got the design together, we will send the design over to the engineers. The engineers will tell us exactly how to build it, and then from there we can price out exactly what the cost of the pool is based on the design, based on the engineering, and the soils report. So they all kind of go hand. Everybody's talking to everybody, right? So we'll talk to both the engineer, the structural engineer, and the soils engineer, and those two will talk to themselves to each other as well.
Cool.
Good.
Yeah.
What about landscaping? Are we doing any landscaping here? Or?
We would like to have that factored into the design to sort of see what would make sense.
Okay.
But yeah, we'll take care of it.
Okay.
Sort of as we can.
Yeah, right. Well, and we can give you a complete master plan of everything, and then you can kind of. That's the nice thing about a master plan, right? Next phase we can do this, and then the third phase we can do this. So it's always nice to have a complete plan that you're working off of, and you didn't forget to put the electrical here, the water here, or the whatever it is, right? So that's super important. We can. There's a questionnaire that we send you, that Jorge will send you about the landscaping.
Okay.
Kind of he's trying to get in your head about what you like. Maybe it might be colors, it might be, whether it's a Mediterranean feel, whether it's a mountain feel, whether it's a tropical, whatever it is. So he can kind of guide you to the types of plants that you're gonna like around your backyard.
Cool.
And then we can have that entire plan, and then you can implement the landscapes whenever you want. But we've got water over here for the irrigation. We run sleeves underneath any hardscape, stuff like that. So we're not putting yourself into a corner.
That makes sense. Yeah. We're going to want mostly native California.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's go.
Water issues. The state.
Yeah. Right. Big time. Yeah.
East Bay Mud just put in. I mean, not that we're anywhere near their limits right now, but who knows what the next couple of years could bring. So we want to be another reason for the hardcover.
Yeah. Evaporation, right? Yep. It does help. Yep. Well, I know Sanford's done a study. There's a lot of studies that have been done about plants and grass versus swimming pools, and there's a lot of good information that swimming pools actually use a lot less water than a lawn,
right?
Or even plants. You have the initial amount of water you got to put in, right? So that's a lot of water.
That's a lot of water.
But then once you start to extrapolate those numbers out and how much water you have to put in your lawn every single day, twice a day, sometimes in the summer. You're actually saving money. We built a pool in Concord about 3 or 4 years ago in a completely huge pool, grass area, and they told me that their water bill went down 50%. We built it right in nothing but grass.
Right.
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah. So obviously lawn takes more than anything else, but that made a huge difference.
Yeah. I mean that's line that we stopped watering it last year.
Yeah.
So.
I
mean it's green, but that's all weeds.
Yeah. Well, let's go down and take a look.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There's a gas there. You were afraid it was a smaller pipe, but we just didn't know if that meant it would just take longer to heat.
No.
Okay.
It won't work at all.
It won't work at all?
Not even close, yeah.
Could we, instead of trenching all the way around, could we run a pipe out and go under the house and then back over here?
So basically redo the pipe that feeds into the house so that it's the right size.
Well, not to the house itself, but just
under the house.
under the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Through
would.
the crawl space.
We wouldn't. How much space do you have in your crawl space? I mean, is it?
It's a decent amount.
Okay.
Under the living room is smaller, but I mean, you're not standing up, but you're not on your hands and knees.
And what's the reason about not trenching all the way around the?
Just the cost and the disruption to the
All the
landscaping.
things that you would have to go through.
So I think we looked at it. It wasn't. I mean, we're just going along this back edge, right, and then up to the side.
Yeah, it's just that back piece.
Mm-hmm.
And we can go over there in a little bit and we can look at that.
Okay.
But we were, if the gas is the main thing, we thought maybe through the house, and then the irrigation pipe, there's pumps and valves down there.
Mm-hmm.
So we were thinking about maybe if we just tie into those for the water. It might take longer to fill up, but we didn't think that would be an issue.
That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that part's fine. No problem.
Okay.
The water itself, it doesn't need much as far as size of pipe. A half-inch line would be plenty for You're talking about for the autofill to
Yeah.
fill the pool
Right.
automatically? Yeah, you won't need a lot of water for that.
Okay.
Again, it's just evaporation.
'Cause
Because you
you-
need more than that, there's a leak and there's a problem.
Because the electricity, we were going to go from here down anyway too.
Yeah.
So the goal is just try to limit the amount of trenching and
Invasiveness on the
Right.
property, that kind of
Right.
stuff. Let's look at it. The issues when you're going underneath the house, the cost can be substantial. It's a lot harder to do going under a house than it is to just trench.
Got it.
I know we're adding a little bit more of footage because of the way we have to come down and over. But it may not be cost effective to
Got it.
go under the house, or it might be more cost effective to go under the house. I
Okay.
think we'll need to kind of maybe view it and look underneath and see
Yeah,
what we
yeah.
got. If we can look at that,
yeah.
that'll help me
Yeah.
make some decisions about that.
We had that all cleaned out. And
Okay.
Squared away.
And you think
about a year
there's the
ago.
distance from the floor to the
It's probably 4 feet.
4 feet?
3 or 4.
Oh, okay. Then that's probably good. Yeah. Sometimes it's like
No.
18
Yeah.
inches to
Yeah,
2
no,
foot,
no,
and you're
no.
going
Under the living room where the floor drops,
Mm-hmm.
it gets tighter.
But we wouldn't need to go through there because there's
because
other space.
the other side we can go.
Yeah, you can just
through
go
that.
down straight down the hallway.
And there's no footings that go across. You can go right through here all the way.
You can go right through there all the way.
Okay.
And so we would go out, go in, go all the way down to the kitchen,
Mm-hmm.
and under this deck, so we would either somehow come up or go into the garage or something, where you could go out under the deck and just go right along the side.
Because this is the garage right here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
And this is no longer. This is.
yeah. That actually comes from the garage.
Oh,
So
from inside the garage
Right.
there. Okay, gotcha.
because we have a furnace right there
Okay.
and a hot water heater.
Okay.
So I don't even know if you could tap into the gas going to the hot water heater. No, nah, it's not big enough.
No. Yeah. It's with gas. It's not pressure. It's under very little pressure. It's volume. So you need to have a large volume. For instance, you're putting a 400,000 BTU heater in.
Yeah.
It's got to be a large volume, and the further the run is, the larger the pipe has to be to get what you want at the end.
Got it.
Yeah.
And the gas would just be for heating the pool.
The heater, yes. Now you
We explore solar for that, or
can explore electricity, which is heat pumped. So we could do a heat pump, and heat pumps are great, especially with a covered pool. You will just need to keep it heated all the time. So you're not doing a spa, so heat pump's tough for a spa because you can't. It's hard to get from let's say you have it set at 85 degrees and you want to get to 104.
Right, that's
it
hard.
takes a long time for it to get there, and it may never get there on those cold days. Because it's basically it's like an AC unit in reverse, right? And so it's
Right.
kind of exchanging the cool air for warm, and it puts it into the pool.
We have the solar panels with the battery, and so electricity is almost cheaper than the gas.
Right. Yes. It's just not on demand. So as long as you're okay with it being like, I consider gas heaters as on demand, and with what I mean by that is if I turn my heater on right now in my swimming pool, I typically will heat my pool about a degree every half hour.
Got it.
I've got a very high efficient heater. Most of them is about a degree an hour, but a heat pump is going to be a degree for many hours, right? So once you get it up, it's kind of like your portable spa. Same thing. If you started your portable spa, it would take many hours for it to get up to the temperature. So if you keep the heat pump running and you're keeping it at that typical temperature you want, to add a couple of degrees might take you several hours, but
That's fine.
but so just keep in mind you'll be wanting to heat it all the time. So absolutely, we could go to a heat pump. Those typically require a 50 or 60 amp service by themselves.
So we might not have power for that.
Right. So it's our pool will probably need about a 30 to 40 amp service.
That I think we have.
Yep. And then an additional 50 amp for our
We would need somebody to look at the box and
and I can have my electrician come out, and we can definitely do that. We can look at that and see what he thinks, what you have. We're working on another project where we're having to upgrade the meter because it's not enough for what we need.
upgrading our meter we can do, but we have because we have the solar, so it goes to the meter and it goes to the gateway, and then it goes to the boxes. So if we upgrade the meter, we're gonna have to have Tesla come back out and do stuff too.
Yep.
So always
Test
doable.
the wall in there. Yeah. So, yep. And that actually was the reason we have to upgrade this other house, because they put solar up, and so they've taken away every option we have, and the meter itself, the panel itself is not large enough to handle it.
Yeah.
So, but my electrician is really good. He'll be able to look at what you have and make that determination.
Somebody once told me, I know we have a 30 amp that we're not using, that was for the house vacuum system, so like that's easy.
Okay.
And I think there's another 50 in there. They just have to restructure the box.
Okay.
Is what somebody told me at one point. But
So, because you have like 2 panels in there, right?
we have 2 panels, one in the garage and one on the other side of the house.
Okay.
But like the spot is on the other one.
Gotcha. Okay. So those panels will have to. You don't have any breaker space open, is what you're saying.
No, but I said that one breaker for 30 amp. That's just for the home vacuum system that we never use.
Yep.
That one we could reuse for the pool.
Gotcha.
And then I think there's a spot for 50 amp, but you just need to redo the.
So nothing else that we're talking about here as far as electricity goes. We don't need to supply power to anything else. I mean, my lights in my pool,
It'd be nice to have some outlets to like, you know, phone chargers or
Okay.
something like that. But I don't.
And yeah, for like a TV.
Yeah, like a TV. But nothing.
So when we create the design, we'll be there'll be some back and forth with you guys, like, what do you think about this? What's it? So when we actually lay out, okay, we're going to put an outlet here. That's a 15 amp service, a 15 amp service here. It doesn't mean that we've got to have 30 amps worth of service for those, right? But
you can't use all of them at once.
Exactly, yeah. It's not continuous use, but we will need to make sure everything is sized correctly, and we have enough amperage here to produce what we need to go down there.
Right.
So we can look at the difference between a heat pump and a heater, a gas heater, and see what works best for you. They do make a hybrid, which is a heat pump and a gas heater all in one. And so it knows when it can, because it actually talks to the automation of the system.
Right.
It knows what it can do with the heat pump and what it can't do, and then the gas heater takes up and makes up the rest.
Right.
However, I don't see that as being a very good option for you, because the whole point of this is to not run the gas line, which is could be very expensive, right? So I think the heat pump is probably better for you.
If we have the space.
Right. So I think I can schedule a time to meet with my electrician out here.
Cool.
And we can go from there.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Sounds good.
Good.
So this would be the
Area be going down.
right. We'd probably leave that tree, so it'd probably come down right on the other side of this light, and you go down here to the pole, and any of these things are not. Like,
The bushes
they can
and
all
stuff
go.
you don't care about.
Except for the crepe.
We would like to keep the crepe myrtle,
Okay.
but
I don't think it's not a way.
yeah.
Yep.
And we were thinking stairs going down, sort of having decking on either side, maybe a couple tiers, but enough space where you could like hang out, either eat lunch or have some sun decking areas.
So when you're saying that, you're saying you want to step down here, and then you want to have like a platform down below or midway, or what's the? You want to have like a landing area that would be a place to hang out, or do you want to try to get as far down as you can?
I think we would have almost a tiered deck.
Okay.
Where you'd have a section up top, and then you'd go down and have another section down there.
Gotcha.
And maybe off on either side.
Okay.
Again,
I don't know about that though.
you don't know.
What we want to maximize, what we want to solve for is people being able to hang out together. I just don't, I legitimately don't know the answer as to, like, if you have people on different levels, like, does
that's
that,
true.
will we all end up congregating on the lower level anyway?
Sure. There's a thing we kind of call destination spots in a backyard.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I call it, anyways. And it might be you have a fire pit area, then you have an outdoor kitchen over here, and you have a pergola over here. So yeah, you have little destination spots. It may separate the people that are hanging out, but it gives you good places. The kids are over here and the adults are over here, or something like that, right? Not that you want to separate your kids from, but sometimes that's nice.
No, we do.
That's the plan.
But it doesn't have to be so separated.
Right.
It can all be where it kind of flows together.
Yeah.
If you want it to be a real nice hangout spot with, a big table and, you could seat 10 people around it.
That's sort of what we want.
Okay. So there you go. So I mean, maybe the deck doesn't make sense here if we're just trying to kind of get down to the space that we want to get to. And then we can have that space all around the pool down at that level.
Right.
But it's up to you. I mean, we can do it either way.
Yeah. A lot of it's also just trying to figure out how to make this space
Usable.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's some interesting things. We can show you what we did on the other side.
Okay.
So, right, just trying to figure out how to use the space.
And the patio around the pool is going to be like a paver, I would assume. Pavers.
So we want to. So obviously, having a rectangular, like traditional pool is not anything close to natural, right?
Sure.
But that said, we want to make the rest of it around it
Okay.
look as natural as possible. So, using rocks and wood instead of, concrete and,
Okay.
and those sorts of things would be best. So whatever we can do to sort of achieve that look, knowing that the main pool itself is what it's going to be.
Yeah, rectangle. It's kind of contemporary feeling, right?
Yeah.
So there's a couple of ways you can do that. One is travertine. So travertine is a natural stone. You can get it bullnose, so it works really well along the edge of the rectangle pool, but gives a really nice natural feel to it. And they have different colors. And then the track sits right underneath it for the cover. So the pool feels really natural that way around the edge, even though it's rectangle. And then you could do a travertine deck as well. So it all kind of matches, okay? You could also just do travertine coping, and then you can do, you've probably seen the tile planks. They look like wood, but it's tile. And you could do that around your deck, almost like you're mimicking the deck that's going down to, let's say we do this in, well, Ipe's expensive, but
Well,
Ipe,
that's what the rest of this is.
okay, there you go.
We just redid these.
Yep. But you could do this with Ipe, then it would match that perfect.
Yep.
Go down to the bottom, and then we could pour concrete around the pool, which is just a slab that we could put our tile that looks like you actually have a wood deck around your pool. So the travertine though is pretty non-skid. There are different types of travertine as well.
Okay.
So there's some that has a lot of like pocks and holes in it. Very natural looking, really pretty.
That's cool.
And it stays very cool because it's not really a limestone, but it's kind of a limestone, and so it stays very cool. So that's an option, and we can get travertine in lots of different products. You can have them cut. They're honed to exactly the same size, so you can get them in squares, rectangles, kind of like looks like a paver deck. And they all get mortared down onto the concrete. You could do it where it's set just like a paver deck, where it's not on concrete, it's on base rock and sand, and then you put that all in, and you could then do a polymer sand in between it that seals it. So it allows for a little more of repair factors down the road. If you get a heaving, something moves, it's not cracking out. So there's options for you there.
And then on that side, we wanted that more of that dock experience where you're basically coming down the path and you would like step up probably onto some sort of like dock-like destination area that would then go into the pool.
So when you say dock, are you wanting something like so an elevated deck, basically?
Right. I mean, we can send you some pictures of Lake George. Is that what you're thinking, or do you want to stick with the all-natural stone?
Yeah, I mean, it's got to look like it fits together. So.
Well, no. Send us what you got.
And I also don't want to add cost by sort of saying, but I don't know what the differential would be. So I think.
Well, Ipe is probably going to be on the higher end as far as cost goes for anything, right? You probably below that is going to be like a TimberTech or a Trex deck, and then below that might be redwood, and then there's different levels or grades of redwood,
right?
So.
Well, could you just do like a travertine area instead of the decking, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's what we do want to make sure is that our swimming pool is separate from any of our deck, right? So we don't. Our pool is going to be, it's going to be on piers. It's not going to move. So the deck will. I mean, you get movement in deck. There's just no way around it. Concrete's going to move and crack, and that's just part of life with concrete and any deck, even pavers that get some movement down the road. So we don't want those to be connected to the pool whatsoever. So there will be an expansion joint between the pool and any deck that we do.
Makes sense.
So we can make all those things happen however we like, and we can make them flow seamlessly into different materials. You want to be careful not to go too many materials. You got wood, you've got travertine, and then now you want to do stamped concrete or start adding all these different materials. It tends to not look as complete, like it was all like you did it in different times. Right?
Yeah.
It'd be good either way to have, so assuming that that's the deep end, the deeper end of the pool, to have some sort of the bigger rocks for the kids to jump off of, not dive.
Okay. All right. So at this end here, the assumption would be this is where our cover vault would be. Our cover vault is going to have, let's say we're doing travertine, it's going to have slabs of travertine on a tray. So those areas are not mortared in because you got to be able to pull those slabs up and service the reel, service the motor, whatever it is. So those will sit on a big tray. You can walk on those, but typically it's not used to walk on. So if we're trying to do boulders on the beam of the pool, a little bit harder because the track has to run all the way through. So if I do a boulder, I got to somehow mount my track in there. Now I can do a gunite top track mount, so I can mount it to the top of my beam, and then we can put our boulder on that part of it. But it looks a little funky. So I'm not sure how to really make the boulder part of it look good with a clean travertine look.
Okay.
So we can talk about that, and we can kind of, and maybe if
could we put it around so that on the
just close to the pool, but not.
On
like
the
top
other
sides.
corner. So they're still, when they jump off of it, they're still going into
Yeah,
the
you could
deepest
do-
part, but it's not getting in the way of the track.
Yep, we can play with some ideas. Maybe we create a planter around that area where you step into that area from hardscape, step up onto that rock, and then jump into it.
Yeah. Yeah, this will go.
Is that water? You got water there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's water, and then the irrigation boxes are
Over there.
right there. There's two boxes right there.
I see it.
Gotcha.
So I know there's water going to that, and there's water going to this.
Okay. And I also know that we have a main sewer line that taps in over here.
Correct.
It kind of cuts across and then angles.
Yeah. So that sewer line, you can see the clean out on the other side of that bush.
Yep.
So the survey guys said, yeah, it goes directly from here straight through.
Okay.
Because the sewer line runs through along the back line. There's actually a manhole cover down there
Okay.
for county access.
Okay.
So if we ever elect to take the dirt and make some of that area flat, we probably have to build some sort of retaining wall just around that manhole cover to.
Let's go look at that. So you're kind of thinking you want to throw. Although it looks like there's like a swale right here, right? So things are kind of moving. Does water move down in here?
Not my
Not that
plan.
you know, but it looks like to me that maybe water travels through here
Possibly.
via the rain.
Yeah, via the rain.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't notice anything even when we had that October storm down here.
Okay.
Over on the other side, yes.
We actually do have a channel down there for
Because
water.
the actual
Culvert.
road runoff goes right down.
Gotcha.
But we haven't noticed it. Not even anything like super soggy.
Gotcha. So we could, if you're gonna put like a typical like a Costco or Home Depot, pergola in, those typically you have like 4 screws. You just mount to. Well, if it's paver, it's floating, so it's not going to do you much good. So
Yeah.
we may have to pour some footings for
Okay.
it in the areas that you're gonna install it,
Decide to do
and then you'd mount to those.
Are there other options that you would recommend?
You could build it, but then you're putting steel posts in the ground.
Yeah.
that, you know, we're building in right away, you know.
And they won't permit that. We were planning on doing most of that sort of after the fact.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's probably best to, it's probably best to pour some type of footing in the area that you're going to need the post. So you really want to make sure you have the structure exactly what the layout is. So when we pour the footings for you, you're mounting right to those footings. Yeah.
That makes
Yep.
sense.
Okay.
If you guys can factor that in the design, that would be good.
Okay. Do you have a size of that you're looking at, or maybe you guys could, because you're going to send me some photos of the
Just of the leg.
and your little dock thing or something you were saying that you wanted to show me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like-
Anything that you guys have seen that you liked about a pool, any kind of material that you like that you've seen on a swimming pool, or even if it's not on a swimming pool that you really like this type of material, we can look at how it would work with a swimming pool even if it's not on a swimming pool, right?
Bill's and Desil's rock is really cool.
Oh, the
Missouri limestone?
yeah, the Missouri limestone.
All of that stone is awesome.
It is. It's crazy stuff. Yeah, a lot of fun. So, are you? What about colors? Are you guys wanting tans, grays, browns? What's your kind of color palette here? Have you thought about it?
Good question.
House looks a little gray, right?
Yeah.
So- okay.
House is gray. The decks are brown.
I would assume, more natural grays and browns versus like a tan.
Okay.
I don't think we're very good.
Okay. Okay. And that pathway that is kind of, that it looks like maybe DG or gravel or something.
Yeah.
That's just going to stay like it is. We're going to tie into that at some point.
Yeah. I think we had talked about having the scope basically go to that ash tree.
That tree. Yeah, I think that's what we said originally. Yep. And you said you're okay with any bushes, but you want to keep the crepe myrtle.
Ideally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what about like these other trees back here?
We like to keep whatever we can just because it provides privacy, but that oak tree is relatively nice.
The oak tree should stay. Yeah.
Right. Everything else can grow back.
Okay. But we really don't have.
Yeah, it drops off there.
Pretty good drop off. Are we wanting to build a retaining wall down here, or are we just going to leave this the way it is?
It depends on what we need, and that's why if we have that back wall, essentially, it basically acts as nobody will really go back behind it,
Right.
and it'll keep any pool balls from.
Jumping like that big tall fence or something that you were
Right.
talking about. Yeah.
Yep.
I've seen a lot of people do, like you say, put TVs on it,
Yeah.
but also put sculptures on it, stuff like
Yeah.
that. You
Right.
can kind of hang things on it, make it look pretty good.
We talked about maybe doing like a bench wall.
Oh, okay.
So you could have like a
Little
like a
seat
bench-
wall, a
right.
little seat bench built into it, like wood that
Right.
matches it, that might match the.
Right.
Yep. So we tie everything together at one. Yep. Okay.
Because I could see the kids sitting on that while they're going in and out of the pool.
So the issue might be that whatever our distance are, we said like 18 by 40 or something like that,
Right.
somewhere in there. So if that pushes us out to a certain point here, where we're getting close to this slope, it won't matter for the pool because the pool's going to be on piers, right?
Right.
However, if you're putting a deck in here, you want to shore this end up. So we
Correct.
might have to do some type of,
Yeah.
retaining wall along here,
Yeah.
that we can build off of.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Not overly surprised by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say we talked about we're going to have to go into the hill a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool.
What was the size? 40? 40 by
18 wide. So we're kind of sitting here. If we go into the slope, now we've got to either excavate out part of the slope, and then we got to look and see what our grade is to here, and see what we have to play with as far as getting the steps down to this location, right? So the only other option would be that this could be a raised wall here. So this wall could be raised against the slope, and then our track runs it's embedded within the raised wall. So it's at a lower level. So if this is where you're standing and this is raised up 2 feet, or let's say the track's still down below, just below you, but then you have this raised wall, and this could have, you know, we could face this with like a ledge stone or tile it or whatever. We could put sheer descents in it with some water features coming out of that wall as well. But that would bring this up to wherever we want. Then we would be walking down next to this raised area.
No, I was just gonna say, you had mentioned like doing a sort of, I don't know what words you use, but the sound of water would be nice too.
That's your sheer descents. So maybe that raised wall like we were talking about might be a
Like
perfect
the best,
scenario for you guys. Yeah. Maybe we could do like 3 sheer descents in there, and that's just As a matter of fact, because it's so quiet here, you could have those on and you could be enjoying the sound up here.
Could you have those on with that cover closed?
No.
Okay.
No, cover has to.
Has to
Yeah.
go into
Well,
Matter
I'm
of fact.
the water has to go in.
I didn't know if it actually went into the pool, or if it just went into like another.
Well, okay, so you're pushing my design thoughts here. That we could. It would be a separate. So you would have your lower coping. You
Right.
would have the track on both ends exactly the same height. Then you would have this open spilling area that could be common with scuppers, I'm going to call them. They're little like open areas where the water could flow under the cover into the pool. So you could, but that, you know, you would have to slow the flow down. So the further the more flow that I have coming over, the wider that open area has to be
Got it.
to drop into, right? So if we slow the flow and it just kind of comes down at a 6 inches or 12 inches or whatever, then that only has to be, let's say, 18 inches, right? If we're pushing a lot of water and it pushes out 2 or 3 feet, we gotta have a 3 or 4 foot area
Right.
that does that. So depends how important, but basically what that means is we tie that into the system so that it does not allow you to turn that on if the cover is closed. We will tie it into the automation that will not allow you to do it. So
Okay.
you can't screw it up. Good?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No.
We good?
I probably have 1,000, but
Oh yes, we expect that, so that's
not
great.
that I know right now.
Again, let's just go back to that, like photos, like anything and honestly, it's good and bad. If you don't like something, tell us that too, because it's sometimes the things you don't like help us more than the things you do like. So if I know you do not like this type of stone, we're staying away from all of that kind of stuff. So either way, if you like a pool that you've seen, or you like a material that you've seen or dislike, send us anything. It's great.
Well, sometimes it could be partial, you know, like if you send me a picture and you can say, you know what, I like the stone feel of this picture, I don't really like the pool, but I like the stone work, you know, or I like the retaining wall, I like this or that, you know, like kind of the more specific, the better, you know, because I might see the picture and say, oh, she likes this pool, you know, but the only part that you like is the stone work, you know.
Right, not the pool itself. Yeah.